Okay. Hey, Jackiem, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for bringing me back on the show.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So, you got a new book. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the when we last spoke, I may have been talking about Zaria. I believe we
Yeah.
talked about since the pandemic hit. I actually was able to finish my second novel, Minor Assassin, which is kind of on a different world. Well, not a different world, but a different genre. Than Zarya. So definitely excited about that. So it's been a story that I've been working on for a couple of years, but it's been hard because I tour as a musician. But being as the pandemic came and hit, I was stuck at home. So what else am I gonna do?
Well, that's true. Now, when you're touring, do you write while you're on the road? Can you do that?
You know, um, if I've got a lot of time, I will. Most of the time, I write when I get back here in the studio. But I started my writing journey actually being on the road. That's how I started Minor Assassin. I'm sorry, Zarya, my first novel. But if ideas come to me, I definitely write them down. It's been hard to really get into the zone of writing while touring. So usually it's during the week when I'm at and here in the studio where I can really kind of get into the zone and get into the mindset of the story. Because when I'm on tour, I'm thinking about the show and the songs and stuff like that.
Well, when you guys tour, I mean, I'm trying to picture it. How many of you normally go out? And do you go on a bus or do you fly or what's the routine?
It's flying. I'm always back and forth to the airport. Like this week, I'll be heading out to Birmingham, Alabama, and then from there, I'm heading down to Virginia. And I already have a band that's set up over there, so they don't fly with me. Sometimes my band from Los Angeles will fly with me, but on this one and on a lot of my trips, I fly out solo and then meet the band already out there. So.
Oh, I see. So I'm picturing like the tour bus but it's not like that at all, right?
Yeah, man. Gone are the tour bus days, right? I've done a few of those. And in fact, when I was touring overseas with pianist named Keiko Matsui, we did trains and buses. We did a bus that took us all over Ukraine. It was amazing. It was horrible and exciting at the same time, and great experience. But yeah, no more tour bus. Everything is flying. Because sometimes I got to get back, and the tour bus takes a long time to get there and then to get back.
Well, that's true. And if you're just doing one or two gigs, I mean, you don't book like 20 city tours.
The 20 city tour thing, I mean, you might do one of those, or at least in my case, you might do something like that once a year. But for the most part, it's generally flying out over the weekend to do shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you do those shows like all in one spot or in two spots that are fairly close together.
It'll be more than one spot. Generally, they are regional. For instance, if I'm going to do a show in Philadelphia, the next night I might do a show in New York, and then maybe the next night I might do a show in Boston. So, it's kind of a regional thing, which makes it easier. So, my booking agent tries to book it regionally, just so that it just makes sense that way.
And I think these days there's probably more call for shorter shorter tours. I don't think like you were talking about the tour bus and we were talking about that. I don't know that
Yeah.
people have that much time anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of getting back into things now as
Yeah,
well.
with the COVID,
And
right?
venues are just starting to open back up. The tour buses tend to be, I'm not sure if they're cheaper or not when it comes to traveling and logistics. But, a lot of people have to be available to be gone for a long period of time, which nowadays, many of the musicians also, some of them work, are professionals and do other things. They're teachers. either at Berkeley School of Music and different things like that. So generally, maybe they can't go away for 20 days. So I think the contemporary touring that's happening is kind of the new way that is happening. Most people are touring over the weekend, and most people are taking flights.
I guess as a sax player, you don't have a whole lot of gear to lug around, right?
No, I mean, I just carry my two saxophones, but it feels like gear because I don't check my horns. I'm usually traveling with my soprano, which is the silver one over here that you see, and then my alto, which is the smaller saxophone. And those two can be heavy after, carrying it for a while. So it definitely feels like a lot of gear, but I'm only traveling with those two things in my clothes. All the equipment is usually always there.
All right, let's get to your book. Your book is called Minor Assassin, and you said this was different than the other book you wrote, a different genre. What genre is this book?
Well, this one's more in the mystery suspense / martial arts, and it's got more real world. It's a more real world touch to it, and it's got violence in it because of the martial arts. But Minor Assassin, in a nutshell, is a young boy who decides to take the law into his own hands in order to rescue his sister and to take down a human trafficking network that exists in Las Vegas. Basically, through tragedy, he loses his parents at the young age of 8. He hides away in a pantry as there's this home invasion, and they kidnap and take his sister. He gets whipped off to Japan, away from Las Vegas, from the people that his parents worked for. And there he learns a new way of life, including how to fight, and eventually including how to kill. And he comes back to Las Vegas, basically hell-bent on finding his sister and having revenge on the guy who killed his parents. So, yeah. So it turns out, John, which is his name, is working a bit faster than the detectives because they're also looking for this Chinese and Japanese gang faction in Las Vegas, except for by the time the detectives get to some of the big bad dudes, they're already dead. Thanks to John. So then it becomes a story where the detectives are looking for John, sort of, so, and he's looking for his sister and he's keeping away, and he's also communicating with the person that's helping him from Japan. So he's doing a lot of techie stuff as well, but he's young, he's 15. That's why I call it Minor Assassin, because technically he's a minor.
So where do all these stories come from? Are these true to life, or are they just coming out of your imagination?
Well, certainly the first novel, Zaria, is definitely not true. It's fiction. I love fiction, and I love science fiction, specifically techie science fiction on another world, But Minor Assassin, it's a story that I kind of came up with, just from starting out and writing a story. I kind of thought of a story where I could have, how you have these stories like Spy Kids, the movie Spy Kids, etc. I wanted this Spy Kid to have more of a purpose and, a more driving principle. One being to stop bad guys from doing bad things and kidnapping people, and another to save his sister from, being sold. So it's more of a real world story, and I kind of started to put it together as I was, writing the first draft. It started to really come together nicely, and it turned out to be something that I really enjoyed reading. I actually finished reading it again a couple of weeks ago, and it's really, really exciting story. I think people will definitely dig it, but it's nothing like Zaria. Zaria, my first novel, it deals with a teenage girl, but she's on another planet, and she's trying to stop a world government from, or the leader of her world government from deleting half of the population because of a crisis in oxygen on the planet. And he supposedly wants to get rid of half of the people, the weaker people, he calls it, by using some type of air biochemical thing that Zaria's father discovered before they arrested him and put him away and locked him away. Now Zarya becomes of age. By the time she becomes 15, she's asking questions about her father. What did he do? Because she's also very smart with science and really good with coding. And she starts to dig and dig and dig and dig. And turns out that her father was onto something. And she decides to continue her father's work, obviously against the world governments who actually want her to be finished.
So there's no way that Zarya and your new character could ever meet up and fall in love, and it could be a romance. No.
No, no, no. For one, their minor assassin is on Earth, while Zarya is on planet Cygnus, which is a
Okay.
planet that's, just think of a planet like Mars that's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years in so it's a desert planet with, giant skyscrapers, drones flying, different species of humans. Some species look like reptiles, others look like other types of animals, but they're like humanoids, so to speak. And she's kind of a humanoid as well. She's got a long tail, pointy ears, very light blue eyes. So that's kind of how the stage is set on Zarya.
Oh, I see. So, okay. It would be interspecies romance if those two got together, yeah?
It would. Zarya would have to, I'm sorry, John would have to find a way to get to planet Cygnus. And, maybe there could be a situation where the population on planet Cygnus, maybe they discover a new blue planet that they didn't know existed somewhere in the solar system, the solar system, maybe in some galaxy called the Milky Way galaxy, and they travel there.
Hey, this could go on forever.
For some reason, right?
This series could go on and on and on, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Well, with Minor Assassin, I'm actually planning a series on that because when John actually goes to Japan, he finds a lot of other talented kids that are also studying martial arts and studying espionage and how to use specific equipment. Turns out John's parents were working for this big time Japanese organization that has been stopping a world network of human trafficking. So, but they're doing it in their own kind of a way. They're doing it by having assassins and espionage to go into these major cities and stop these organizations. So John finds himself a part of something a lot bigger than what he thought it would be. Next thing you know, he sees himself training with someone from Kenya, another girl from Mexico, and he finds that there's some purpose behind why he's learning. I mean, in the thing about John is the leaders of the people in Japan that were taking him in, they actually want him to have his revenge. So they want him to learn and become good. He spends 5 years in Japan. So, but as far as the series is concerned, I'm thinking of writing a series for the girl from Mexico and even the other child from Kenya, but they have their own short story, all a part of the main theme of the Minor Assassins, or maybe it'll be the World Minor Assassins or something. I haven't thought of a title or catchphrase, but that's the idea.
How about Minor Assassins International?
Could be
Something
Minor
like
Assassins
that. Yeah.
International, or maybe it'll be Minor Assassin, and then it'll be the name of the person. Like, for instance, John's story is an entire novel, but the other stories will be short stories. Like, for instance, maybe the young girl from Kenya, her name is Keiko, and maybe her short book would be Minor Assassin Keiko, and then shows her getting out of Kenya and how, her whole story, and maybe there's also tragedy and whatever.
All right. Well, let's not give it all away. Let's keep people in suspense.
Yes.
And with that, we've got to wrap up the interview. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Yes, please go to joinerbookclub.com, and that way you can see all of my books. Joyner Book Club, which is my last name, joinerbookclub.com. If you want to know more about my music and stuff, go to my website, JackemJoyner.com. And you can follow me at Jackiem Joyner. That's my tag for Instagram and Twitter and all over the place. And just spelling of my name probably is going to be written on the show. Jackiem, Jackiem, Joyner.
All right, great. Well, Jackiem, always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks again. And
Awesome.
We look forward to many books coming down the pike. Yeah.
Yes.